This particular building is a supplement manufacturing facility, meaning it makes those bullshit pills and bottles that you'll see at the store for $20+. It's set into many different parts. Firstly, you have a lobby that includes a staircase, a door that heads into the manufacturing portion of the building, and a door across the room on a sidewall that leads into the warehouse portion. Another opening in the lobby leads to what's considered a conference room. In this large open room on the wall, closest to the opening portion, is a large metal door with opaque glass window that leads to a quote-unquote test kitchen. This will come into play later on. My company is cheap. The client is cheaper, so there's one guard per 12-hour shift. We'll sit in a security office/room that's pretty small in south end of the building, among the manufacturing area. But due to the virus, and my state being an epidemic area, they have us instead out in the lobby, taking temperatures and screening the few employees that come in. The conference room has windows on almost every wall, save for the wall that has the doorway leading to the test kitchen, and has no automatic lights. One night, I was having a hard time staying awake. Watching shit on my laptop and drinking energy drinks did nothing. We have to stay at the guard table, and I was startled by a muffled bang coming from the conference room. No door alarms were set off, and no one was in the test kitchen at any point. When I went to look, the light in the test kitchen was on, and through the opaque glass, I could vaguely see a figure standing right up against the door, standing extremely still. Looking at this gave me a feeling of fear and dread, but I couldn't stop staring at it. For the next 4 hours, I was on edge, occasionally looking to see the figure still standing at the window, until around 5 a.m., when light began seeping into the facility. I went in to look at the test kitchen, and no one was in it. There simply is no way anyone could have gotten in or out of it without me hearing. Even if you have a key card, it emits a loud beep when opening the door. Other guards have experienced the same occurrence. The light turns itself on, even though it's a manual light. Another story I have from this facility takes place back before the virus, when we had to do our foot patrols. The facility, as I mentioned, is pretty large. Completing a foot patrol, aka scanning buttons so they know you're not just sitting on your ass and not patrolling, takes about 40 minutes if you're fast. You go to every square inch of the building before it's over. Around 2 a.m., I begin my internal patrol of the building. This is around December, so it's cold as fuck. I was walking through the warehouse and noticed it was much colder than I was used to it being, and I've been there through snow and ice. As I'm rounding a large shelf, I hear a scream that sounded very human and very brief. Once again, I'm the only person supposed to be in the facility. I quickly run around the warehouse with my flashlight, looking anywhere and everywhere I can, and finding nothing. After the scream, I didn't hear any running or anything at all. I cut my patrol early to go and check the camera feed in the guard office to find that every single camera was suddenly unreachable. This instantly scared me, because what if something was going to head to the office? And I didn't see it. I stayed in the office, paranoid and waiting for the cameras to come back. Slowly, they began to populate again, with the warehouse cameras showing up last. I went to locate the time that I heard the scream, and looking at all the cameras while trying to locate myself on the many cameras, there are a lot of cameras, most just pointing at walls and useless shit. I finally found myself on my patrol in the saved CCTV footage. At the time I heard the scream, I'm seen on the camera turning around startled and then running off, which, right after, all of the cameras shut off. Looking through all of the cameras, I couldn't find a source for what I heard. This always freaked me out when I came back to this facility and I thought about it. No other guards take this contract with this facility, and I always wondered why. seeing as how all you have to do is just watch the place, and there's no complex post order. Just do a foot patrol and then hang out for a few hours doing whatever you want. Every time the company establishes a quote-unquote regular guard for the place, they ask to be resigned less than a week later. So far, I'm the only one who's been consistent. The staff have told me. I don't have many other experiences, but I felt like these ones were pretty fucking spooky and worth talking about. Worked in museum. Big ass old building with a messy floor plan due to having expanded into some of the buildings next to it. Had 4 floors and 3 basements. Did an overnight stay as part of an October event. 8 teens involved, all mostly honor students, so group was calm and didn't expect any shenanigans, besides some boob touching. Group did some activities, played discount laser tag, and ended up where they were supposed to be by midnight. Put on Wreck-It Ralph on big screen, pizza arrived hot, pretty successful. All the teenagers were asleep on the floor in a room on the 3rd floor. Doors were shut, and there was a bathroom right outside. There was a famous mummy in the room and a whale skull on the ceiling, but other than that, it was a very comfy place. Night was fine, until 3 a.m. Heard heavy footsteps coming from outside. Building's acoustics are a crapshoot, but these were close. Other supervisor was in room. She heard them too. All doors were still shut. Normally the creepiest part of the facility is the smell in the toddler play area. Did head count. All teenagers were asleep. Knew at least half of them smoked weed before coming, so really were not expecting any tricks. We debated. I went out first. Building was silent as a grave and was utterly dark. We were provided with heavy-duty flashlights, and I brought them. Area directly outside was the 2nd floor, which was basically a huge steel platform over the 1st that bridged a gap between one side of the building to the other and was filled with interactive stuff that was older than I was. Place was silent as a grave, but I checked the floor carefully. Everything was how it should have been, except for a section with oversized wooden blocks. They were supposed to be neatly stacked, but they were scattered on the floor. Finished picking them up before I got called by the other supervisor on the cheap walkie-talkie. Sounded frantic. Needed me in the corridor with the bathrooms. Found her ranting and looking freaked out. The corridor is near a kids section with all sorts of toys and quote-unquote make-believe objects, like playhouse and puppets and stuff. Fucking toddler wagon was in the middle of the hallway and was full of toys. Not that bad, but it's a chunky plastic thing that would have made more noise than the footsteps we heard earlier. She eventually said that it was possible it rolled out because of the very slight slant of the floors. We considered getting a camera from the storage and setting it up, but thought against it. Night was too weird at that point. We opted to take shift being up until 10 a.m., which was when this was over. Night was fine after that, except 2 of the girls and all 3 of the guys complained about noise coming from upstairs that woke them up. Me and the other sup didn't hear anything coming from upstairs. Another girl privately said that she thought something had touched her hair when she was asleep. 2 of the guys who were not really friends from what anyone had seen also said separately that they saw some short white shadows around corners when they were playing manhunt earlier on the 3rd floor. Kinda freaked out by this point, so I talked with some of the others there. The place officially didn't have any real history with ghosts, but one of the buildings that was merged into it in the past was a tenant building. Place had a notable tuberculosis outbreak, caused it to be abandoned for some time until being bought, and half of its walls being torn down. She admitted that most senior employees avoided the 3rd basement because that was part of the building, and it also housed the antique medical equipment that the museum had. She admitted that the museum had some preserved human remains that couldn't be put on display there. My face went. I got told that there was a pickled 6-year-old girl 3 stories below the room I spent the night in.